What do you think of these Cardinals? Kyle Shanahan was very complimentary and said they easily could have won all 3 of their games. What do you think?
They most certainly could have. I gotta say they're a little bit impressive from the standpoint of, first of all, we thought that they were almost a lock to get the first overall pick. It was like them, maybe the Texans, but they have the Texans pick also. So even then they would have won it. They have been in all 3 of these games. Gannon, I didn't think much of as a defensive coordinator in Philly at all. I thought it was addition by subtraction when he left. He definitely had that opening speech that was very toolish, but he's got this team playing good football. They're playing hard. Who would have thought that Dobbs would come in as a journeyman and do what he's done? They play harder than what I expected, Grant. They are more physical than what I expected. I was actually kind of shocked. If you go watch that Dallas game last week, they look physically imposing compared to Dallas. I did not expect that. Dallas can be a physical team in their own right. They've got a good offensive line. Supposedly this defense was more ready and more physical than ever. I just didn't see that. Arizona looked like the bigger team. They looked like the more physical team. Certainly not as overall, not as much talent on that team, but they play fast. They play physical. They're actually decently coached, believe it or not. I'm actually kind of impressed with the Cardinals. I don't think that they're going to win, but I did not expect this from Arizona at all.
No, it seems like they're probably a year or 2 away, but they just beat Dallas, which is that's a statement win. Mm-hmm. And I think, I don't know how good Jonathan Gannon is, but I do think it's fair to say that he's way, 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 way better than Cliff Kingsbury. Oh my God. Cliff Kingsbury, was he like a special assistant to the traveling secretary at USC or something like that?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
He understood why he got that job. I bet you Steve Wilkes wants to know too. I bet you Steve Wilkes is laughing. I bet you Steve Wilkes hates Cliff Kingsbury. Anyway, I think Jonathan Gannon at least is a competent coach. He may be better than competent. He got embarrassed in the Super Bowl. We don't have to explain, right? Like with the motion thing that he couldn't get right in the red zone twice. He gave away 14 points. But he was really good last year, and I don't know. Who brought in Josh Dobbs? That was genius.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. The 49ers have, interestingly enough, this might be the 3rd week in a row where a team hangs with them for a half. Surprisingly hangs with them. A team that they're way more supremely talented than. They're definitely superior to the Cardinals, much like they were the Giants, much like they were the Rams. But those teams hung around a little bit. And I could see the Cardinals doing something similar, and then ultimately talent wins out, and the 49ers do win kind of big going away at the end. But let's not forget that Gannon, we didn't get to see a lot of it because Purdy went down early, but he did recently game plan for this same team. Now, much better players on Philly. I understand all of that, but I'm sure he's going to put together a solid game plan. Are his players good enough? Probably not, but I think that they can make it interesting for a half for sure. And I wouldn't have expected to say that week 1 of the season. So at least they got that going for them.
They look like an interesting squad. I mean, they don't have a ton of talent, so they're a ways away, but new coaches, you don't really know how to game plan for them. I feel like they're showing things that they haven't shown before, and that's partially why Josh Dobbs is doing so well. How do you game plan for that? You don't really know what he's going to do. Also, the zone read, I'm curious to see how the Niners actually defend it on a team that wants to use it, because Josh Dobbs, I know he had a long run. He's averaging 8 yards a carry. I mean, the Niners are all gas, no brakes, or they used to be. This is assignment football where everyone has to slow down and read their keys. I'm curious to see what happens. Sure, they'll be fine. They'll be fine.
I think so too. But what's interesting about Arizona and what they can bring to the table offensively is almost a hybrid of what the Rams did to make the 49ers struggle and what the Giants could have done, but just they didn't have Saquon, so they couldn't really incorporate Danny Dimes and getting mobile. But Dobbs is mobile like Danny Dimes, and he has 2 speedster receivers in Rondell Moore and Marquise Brown that could certainly get you the underneath crossing route stuff. He's been accurate. He hasn't made a lot of mistakes this year, hasn't turned the ball over. I feel like they can incorporate kind of a hybrid of what those last 2 teams brought and make it difficult for at least a little bit on the 49ers defense and make them think a little bit. Add in that James Conner is at least a more seasoned player than any of the running backs that they've faced the first 2 weeks. So, yeah, I think it could be interesting for a while for sure. What do you
Yeah,
do if you're
absolutely.
Arizona when Kyler Murray comes back? Like, are you clamoring for him to come back at this point? Or are you trying to like beef up Dobbs' trade value at least and get something for him? I mean, I think
I like
Dobbs.
Dobbs right now, but it's a little early. But
Yeah.
did you watch the JT O'Sullivan video on Josh Dobbs?
I didn't know. What was he saying?
I was really impressed with him. I just really liked him a lot. He made some nice throws in that game against Dallas.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm looking at the coaches over here for what team are we talking about? Arizona. Their offensive coordinator is Drew Petzing. He's from the Browns. So he was working underneath Stefanski. And then before then, he was with the Vikings for a long time, which is interesting because that's more of like a Gary Kubiak under center type offense. But what they're doing in Arizona looks like kind of like the Eagles, mobile quarterback in the shotgun, using the zone read, RPOs, just the kind of stuff that gives the Niners problems.
A little bit of problems, yeah.
Also, last time the Niners faced Jonathan Gannon, I'm not going to say it. Oh, that's what happened. And it wasn't just fluky. I feel like Jonathan Gannon had a great game plan. Like,
he did.
You're a play action team. Okay. I'm going to tell my pass rushers not to react to the play fake and just go for the quarterback. Good luck with that slow developing play.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I just don't think ultimately they just don't have the talent. They just don't have the talent.
They don't have
and
the
that's
horses.
the difference.
All right, I'll take some super chats. Maritime Wake Gal, $2.
That was good.
Thank you. Frank Tom Ocean says, I think Pitts would be a great replacement for GK.
Well, yeah, I'm sure. Yes, he would be great. A great replacement. How are we going to go get him?
Juan Torres says, as good as Devontae sounds, let's be real. We need a right tackle or a corner. That's true.
Yeah, the problem with right tackle, and the reason I didn't put one on the list is teams usually aren't willing to trade right tackles in the middle of a season.
How many good ones are there?
No, there's not many.
2. McKivitz and McGlinchey. Ethan M says trading for offensive line would be the most beneficial.
Agree.
I'll step up and do it. Rome Gut Level says, so is Wilkes looking better than Ryans or Saleh?
It's early. Very, very early.
Maybe. He might be looking better than D'Amico. Because D'Amico was really good, but he gave up long catches, explosive plays. So far, Steve Wilkes is not. So far. Maybe that's because he faced Puka Nacua. And
yeah, I don't know. I just don't know that this defense has been stressed out that much this year. I mean, let's look at the quarterbacks.
At Kenny Pickett. Wow.
Yeah, I know.
And
Stafford's great. He really is, but he just doesn't have a deep threat anymore.
That's true. He does need that deep. When they lost Odell Beckham Jr., that was big. When they had Brandon Cooks, well, that was before Stafford.